Imagine a city divided overnight, families torn apart, a nation split in two. Can you feel the weight of the Berlin Wall? On August 13, 1961, the citizens of Berlin woke up to a new reality. Their city, once unified, was now cleaved into two by a formidable barrier of concrete and barbed wire. But this wall was not just a physical obstruction. It was a stark symbol of a global ideological divide, a tangible manifestation of the Cold War between the East and the West, communism and democracy. The construction of the Berlin Wall was a pivotal event, a point of no return. It was a silent declaration of an era marked by tension, fear, and uncertainty. It was an emblem of two clashing worldviews, two different ways of life, forced to coexist side by side, yet kept apart by this imposing structure. This was a time when the world held its breath, watching and waiting as the powers of East and West danced on the knife edge of conflict. The Berlin Wall was more than just a barrier. It was a line drawn in the sand, a challenge issued, and a gauntlet thrown down. It was a visible scar on the face of a city and a nation, a daily reminder of a world divided. The Berlin Wall was not just a physical barrier, it was an ideological divide that had split a nation. Living with the wall was a stark reality for the people of Berlin. For close to 30 years, this imposing symbol of division dictated the rhythm of everyday life, casting a long shadow over the city and its inhabitants. On the eastern side, under the watchful eye of the German Democratic Republic, life was marked by a regimented existence. State-controlled media, surveillance, and limited personal freedoms were the order of the day. Yet, amidst the constraints, a unique culture emerged, shaped by the shared experience of life under communism. In contrast, West Berlin, though physically encircled by the wall, enjoyed the liberties of the democratic world. A vibrant culture thrived, fueled by a spirit of defiance and resilience. Here, music, art, and innovation flourished, creating a beacon of hope that shone brightly against the backdrop of the wall. Yet, despite the stark differences, there were striking similarities. Families on both sides of the wall shared common dreams. Dreams of freedom, of unity, and of a life unencumbered by the specter of division. Stories of families torn apart were all too common, with loved ones separated by mere meters of concrete and barbed wire. The wall was not only a physical barrier, but a painful reminder of a city and a nation divided. Despite the division, life went on. East and West Berliners found ways to adapt, to survive, and even to thrive. Each side of the wall developed its own distinct identity, shaped by political ideologies, yet underpinned by a shared history and a common longing for unity. The wall stood as a silent witness to these parallel lives, a mute testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Life with the wall was a story of contrasts, of shared dreams deferred, and yet it was also a story of hope, of resilience, and of an undying yearning for unity. As the 1980s dawned, change was in the air. The Eastern Bloc, long held in the iron grip of communism, was beginning to feel the winds of change. The Soviet Union, under the leadership of Mikhail Gorbachev, was taking a new direction. A direction that would have far-reaching effects on the divided city of Berlin. Gorbachev's policies of glasnost and perestroika were revolutionary. Glasnost, meaning openness, aimed to provide greater freedoms of speech and press, while perestroika, or restructuring, sought to reform the stagnant Soviet economy. These policies signaled a dramatic shift in the Soviet Union's stance, a move away from the rigid dogmas of the past. And this shift did not go unnoticed in East Germany. For years, East Germans had lived under the oppressive regime of the German Democratic Republic. But now, inspired by the changes in the Soviet Union, they began to dream of a different future. Protests sprang up across the country, with citizens demanding greater freedoms and an end to the oppressive rule of the Stasi, the East German secret police. In the streets of East Berlin, the air was filled with the electric charge of change. People gathered in squares, chanting for freedom, their voices echoing off the ominous concrete barrier that had divided their city for nearly 3 decades. The wall, once a symbol of division and oppression, was now the backdrop to a people's demand for unity and freedom. The government of East Germany, long used to quelling dissent, found itself overwhelmed. As the protests grew in size and intensity, it became clear that something had to give. The people of East Germany were no longer willing to live in the shadow of the wall. They wanted change. They wanted freedom. As the decade wore on, the pressure continued to build. The calls for freedom grew louder, the protests larger, the demand for change more insistent. the winds of change began to sweep across the Eastern Bloc, sparking a wave of protests and demands for freedom in East Germany. The tide was turning, and the wall, that once seemed so permanent, so unshakable, was about to crumble. November 9, 1989, a date etched in history. The world held its breath as the unthinkable seemed to be unfolding before our very eyes. A statement from an East German official had sparked a series of events that no one could have predicted. The announcement? Travel restrictions between East and West Berlin would be lifted. The news spread like wildfire, and soon, throngs of East Berliners made their way to the checkpoints of the wall, their hearts filled with a mix of disbelief and hope. The guards, unprepared for the sudden surge of people and unsure of how to react, eventually yielded to the crowd. The gates were opened, and for the first time in nearly 3 decades, people were free to cross the border. The atmosphere was electric. Hugs, tears, and laughter filled the air as families and friends, separated for years, were reunited. The wall, once a symbol of division and oppression, was now a canvas of jubilation, with people chipping away at the concrete, taking home pieces as mementos of this historic event. There was a sense of euphoria, a collective sigh of relief, as the wall that had divided a city, a country, and the world was brought down, not by politicians or armies, but by the people it had sought to keep apart. Strangers became friends, sharing stories and dreams, their voices echoing through the night, a testament to their indomitable spirit. Champagne corks popped, music filled the air, and an impromptu street party erupted. It was a night of celebration, a night of freedom, a night the world would never forget. The wall that had stood as a symbol of division and conflict for 28 years was being dismantled, piece by piece, by those it had oppressed. That night, the world watched as Berliners, both East and West, joined in a celebration that was not just about the end of the wall, but the beginning of a new era. The fall of the wall marked the triumph of the human spirit over adversity, a victory for freedom and unity. East and West Berliners joined in a celebration that turned a symbol of division into one of unity and hope. The fall of the Berlin Wall didn't just mark the end of a divided Germany, it signaled the beginning of a new era, a seismic shift that would reshape the geopolitical landscape of the world. As the concrete barrier crumbled, so too did the ideological divide that had split a nation, a continent, and indeed, the world. In the aftermath, Germany underwent a process of reunification. East and West Germany, separated for nearly 3 decades, came together in a historical merger that was both challenging and transformative. Economically, politically, and culturally, the two halves had to find a way to become a whole again. But the ripples of the wall's fall extended far beyond the borders of Germany. It marked the beginning of the end for the Soviet Union and the Cold War. Countries once under the iron grip of communism began their own journeys towards democracy and independence, forever changing the map of Europe. Yet, as we look back, the legacy of the wall is not defined by division, but by unity. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder of our collective yearning for freedom and our capacity for change. Today, remnants of the wall can still be seen in Berlin. Graffiti-covered slabs of concrete, once a symbol of oppression, now stand as an emblem of hope. They serve as a poignant reminder of a divided past and the triumph of unity over division. These fragments of history are not just physical relics, they're symbolic of our journey as a global community. They remind us that walls, both physical and ideological, can be torn down. They inspire us to strive for a world where freedom, unity, and peace are not just ideals, but realities. Today, remnants of the wall stand as a reminder of the past and a symbol of peace, reminding us of the power of hope, unity, and the human spirit. The fall of the Berlin Wall remains a testament to the indomitable will of people striving for freedom and unity. As we've journeyed through its history, we've witnessed the courage, resilience, and spirit that brought down not just a physical barrier, but an ideological one. The wall's fall didn't just reunite a city, it reshaped the world. Its legacy? A powerful reminder of the strength of unity and the enduring quest for freedom. It's a legacy that continues to inspire, reminding us that no barrier is too high when humanity stands together.